exposure and potential mental health ramifications that we don't even know about to this point. We see what happens with exposure for child actors. This is this is somewhat similar. So I'm happy that protections are being put in place, but I think we need to explore potentially legal barriers or some sort of national legislation that protects children from exploitation more broadly, because this is clearly an untapped market for a lot of people that want to monetize every part of yourself. I mean, we deal with that in media to a certain extent, right, John? So it's not it's a troubling development, is what I'll say.
Yeah, and as you pointed out, it's not entirely new. There were parents that wanted their kids to be actors or get into commercials or become a model or whatever. It's just way easier for lots of people to try to do that. And it's not to say that the kids are all being abused or even don't like it. There are probably a lot of these kids that love doing the photos and love doing the videos and all of that. It just seems like if the money is being brought in, it should benefit them. I don't know. By the way, the reason I want to talk about this is I don't know what my position exactly is on this, but I definitely think it's a huge thing. Some of the biggest YouTube channels in the world are little kids, like interacting with toys and stuff like that. Anyway,
they can't
basically
consent.
out of time, but last point to you.
They can't consent. That's the one thing I'll say. I mean, if children can't consent in this way, and I think that should be at least taken into account.
Agreed. We'll have more to say about this at some point. For now, though, that is unfortunately all the time we have for Emma Vigeland, the wayward dragon. Hopefully she will, find her way back here at some point. But it's great to have you here, Emma.
Great to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. Really appreciate it. Always good to talk to you, John.
Great to have you here. Everyone, you can check out Emma every day on the Majority Report in the hour leading up to TDR, and then that's it. That's the end of the Majority Report. And then you come watch us. You can also check out Emma on the Young Turks later on today. Very excited to see that. And so that'll be coming up later on. Indisputable is up next, everyone. But for now, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. I'll see you soon.
welcome. It's indisputable. I'm your host, Rashad Richey. Good to be with you. We have a lot on the agenda today. Breaking down news of the day. My contributor, none other than Sharon Reed, host, commentator, anchor, and Rebel HQ All-Star. Always good to have her on the program. Also, sports, TYT Sports now. We got to add that, update it. All right. Top story of the day. Rudy Giuliani, according to an allegation that's filed, likes to, let's say, be intimate while talking on the phone with Donald Trump. That's not even the most disturbing allegation. He demanded sex from employees, sexually harassed and abused those who work for him, created sham deals that never existed. They only existed in the parameters of the mind. There's so much in this lawsuit that has been filed against Giuliani, but the video that was done years ago has resurfaced because of new context. Once again, I submit to you that in the report, it says that Giuliani liked to be intimate while talking to Donald Trump on the telephone. Here's the video.
I like that.
This may be the best of all. Oh, you dirty boy, you, oh.
Isn't it ironic how both of those Republicans were totally fine with drag back then? I mean, Trump was even fascinated by it. All right, let's put it up full mass. Hell of a story. A woman named Noelle Dunphy. Miss Dunphy has filed a shocking and graphic 70-page legal complaint. This is against her former boss, former New York mayor, Rudy Giuliani, former federal prosecutor, Rudy Giuliani, accusing him of sexual assault, harassment, abuse, wage theft, and other misconduct while he was serving as the former president, Donald Trump's serving as the personal attorney. So let's get into it. Ms. Dunphy claims that Giuliani hired her in 2019 as director of business development at a salary of $1 million per year plus expenses. Then she says he only paid her about $12,000 over the next 2 years. $12,000 over the next 2 years. Forced her to perform oral sex and have intercourse with him at work so he could, and I quote, feel like Bill Clinton, end quote. And demanded she either be naked, wear a bikini, or wear short shorts. He bought her with the American flag on them at work, even while he was on calls with the president. She claims he regularly spouted off confused and hostile alcohol-laced tirades that were homophobic and racist in nature. She says she recorded some of their interactions as proof. Now, the fact that Giuliani is bigoted and racist is the absolute least surprising thing in this entire filing, okay? Giuliani is representing himself, which means he has a fool for both lawyer and client. He denies the allegations and plans to aggressively defend against these allegations. This is not really a lawsuit. This is harassment and extortion. The recordings Ms. Dunphy made and the 23,000 emails she preserved may present a problem for him. Her allegations are so plentiful, so stunning, and so heavily backed with receipts that they are impossible to adequately summarize here. That's according to the article, Jezebel. So one bizarre tidbit, so at the Daily Beast, you got to give it to the Daily Beast. They always get the tea. So let's put up what the Daily Beast has been able to confirm with some of these recordings. Dunphy claims Giuliani made lots of sexual comments about public figures, living and dead, including the late UK Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. that he also constantly took Viagra and would demand that Miss Dunphy take care of his erection before finishing her work. She says Giuliani would force her to become intoxicated with him and claims that once when he got her too drunk to consent to sexual intercourse, he remarked that he thought of her as a daughter, all right? Ms. Dunphy is suing Giuliani for $10 million in back pay. Giuliani presented himself as a generous employer and a hero who would use his legal prowess to save Ms. Dunphy from a difficult situation, the lawsuit says. But he was neither of those things, and he did not deliver those things according to the suit. Giuliani was often under the influence of alcohol, according to Ms. Dunphy, who was made to bring him drinks as early as 10 a.m. to ensure that the former mayor did not embarrass himself while drunk, according to the complaint. Ms. Dunphy's workplace was regularly affected by Giuliani's chronic alcoholism, and Giuliani was rarely sober around her. Now, we've said this for years. Obviously, Giuliani has shown signs that he has a drinking problem. And I used to be a drinking man myself, so I recognize some of those signs 100%. When he was on television telling everyone live on TV that he worked for the State Department and actually believed it, he was likely drunk that night, okay? All right, there's more. Ms. Dunphy's complaint against Giuliani on Monday referenced the infamous, remember this? Remember Borat? Remember that scene? And even included a still from the movie showing Giuliani on the bed with his hand down his pants, according to the complaint. The movie depicted Giuliani acting in a similar manner to how he acted with Ms. Dunphy, according during one incident when she stayed in his guest suite. So there's another disturbing reality here that really we were exposed to a few years ago. And that was through the fake documentary, all right? When the scene came out that Giuliani was seemingly about to try and have intercourse with an underage child. In the scene, Borat jumps in, stops everything from happening. But clearly Giuliani is engaged in trying to go to the next level. He said, no, he was just adjusting his pants. That's all he was doing. He was on the bed in the hotel room with someone he believed was underage, adjusting his pants. There's a problematic nature with all of these men. You see what binds them. It's their disrespect for women. It connects them, okay? Him, Trump, and others. This is their point of view, their overview, their worldview. See, the reason why they don't care when Republicans come after women and restrict their rights, listen, these individuals are not ideologues. They're not really true believers. They just don't care. They definitely don't care about women. So here you go. Giuliani, another great American hero, right? All right. Sharon, thoughts on this clown?
If you're not a pig, raise your hand, okay? If you're not a pig, raise your hand. Thank you, Borat. Thank you, Daily Beast. I've often thought that he was gross because of what we knew about how he treated his ex-wife, Donna Hanover, and there's subsequently more. But now I know this speaks to his lack of humanity.
Yeah.
This what we do know. What's not even proven yet. Lack of humanity.
Yeah. These people are in charge of important policy. These individuals have been placed in positions of the highest public trust imaginable. And they were this damn dogmatically dirty to everyday people. All right, we'll follow. I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot that develops from this 70-page lawsuit. All right, horrible conditions. I'm talking about mold, mice, and more. Put up the picture full mass. It's a damn shame. All right, we're gonna deal with it. According to a report from Fox 5 Atlanta in Southwest Atlanta, Georgia, tenants are fed up with conditions at the Reserve at Birch Creek apartment complex where they say mold, mice, and bugs threaten their health. This has also made it to the school system as far as they're concerned. All right, one man says he sleeps with a mask on. Do you hear this? He sleeps with a mask on because doctors have had to treat him for mold exposure. Another family says they have no air conditioning and no heat, so they are uncomfortable year-round. A third family says they've been forced to eat takeout every day because mice eat their groceries inside of the apartment. Let's put up the pictures. So tenants actually showed images of dead rodents on sticky traps. They say property management was kind enough to supply the sticky traps, but that didn't solve the problem. Management, according to a quote, management told me to use peanut butter on the tip of them in order to make the rats come to them, and called it a day. One tenant said in disbelief, never sprayed for pests, but charged $75 a month for pest control. There's more. Other photos shared with Fox 5 Atlanta show mold on the ceilings and in bathrooms. I sleep with a face mask on, one person says. It gets real bad when the AC is not running. I guess that's what spreads the mold, he said. It became a normal thing to see mice, and it's not normal for any type of living person, especially with children, he said. Nearby, Fickett Elementary School, the principal, Miss Benita Grant, is concerned for her students' well-being. She found out some of them live in that complex. She said children cannot learn when they're focused on issues like this at home. I agree. So she started thinking of what she could do to help. It turns out Atlanta Public Schools has had a running partnership with the Atlanta Food Bank, all right, and Good Arm, all right? Other community organizations do help with those ventures. They have care teams to help fill hunger and transportation gaps for the kids who need it. Thanks to Principal Grant, that now includes students at Fickett Elementary. Big ups to you, Principal, for being a trailblazer in this arena. Meanwhile, another parent told Fox 5 News she has now taken legal action against the apartment complex. Fox 5 also reached out to the complex's corporate leadership for comment. As of Monday evening, there was no return. Alex Whitler of Fox 5 did a great job on this story. I'm sure there will be significant follow-up. But let me say this, put up the picture one more time of the apartment complex. I am familiar with this area. I don't know the management here. I'm not sure who actually is in charge at the level of corporate. I'm sure someone would get you this video. I'm sure someone would get you this segment. And hopefully you've already heard of the local reporting from Fox 5 News. Here's the reality. There are a lot of senior citizens in this complex. There are a lot of children also in this complex. The reserve at Birch Creek, you all have been put on notice. You all have been put on notice. That community deserves better than what you have given them. They will receive better. This is an easy fix if you give a damn. Sharon, thoughts here?
And they don't, and you know that, and so do I, Dr. Ritchie. And if this was your complex, would you have no comment or not return a phone call? No. Okay, you would step up and say, "My God, this must have just happened yesterday, because this is not the kind of place I run."
Right.
I feel sad for the seniors and the children and everybody who has to put up with this.
So sad. I want to remind everyone, including those who live there, okay? These are violations. These are violations. Please look directly at your lease agreement. Look at that agreement. Utilize the wording of that agreement. Within the four corners of the agreement, you may have a remedy. Look at it, all right? We're gonna follow up with this story and see if they respond adequately. Okay. Who would do this? A school teacher thought it was perfectly okay to allow a student to dress in a KKK outfit. All right, here we go. Let's put it up for mass. Southern Middle School. So a teacher at Southern Middle School in Kentucky has now been suspended. Why? Because he allegedly allowed a student to dress up as the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klans. as part of a history lesson. According to a local news station, WYMT, the teacher gave students the assignment of dressing up as famous historical figures. And the teacher approved one student's request to dress up as him. That's Nathan Bedford. Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was basically the founder of the KKK. He's noted as the Grand Wizard, first ever Grand Wizard of the KKK. Okay, so before I go to the next phase of this story, I want to remind everyone, this was an approved project, which means the child goes to the teacher and says, hey, teach, you said a historical figure, so I'm going to choose a hateful, racist man. Can I be that person? Sure, approved, no issue, okay? There's more. Reaction from local activists, the teacher's judgment drew harsh criticism from Whitaker of the Lexington Fayette NAACP. What is your definition of hero or of historical figure? He said to WYMT. Would he have done the same thing if he wanted to come as Charles Manson or Hitler? All right. Pulaski County Superintendent Patrick Richardson has confirmed with the Lexington Herald leader that he had suspended the teacher, who is not being identified publicly, but is under investigation by the Kentucky Educational Professional Standards Board. And sir, since you are not identifying who it is publicly, we only have your face as the leader, and we will continue to utilize your leadership as who should be held accountable. He said in the statement, first and foremost, I am extremely disappointed and embarrassed by this incident, Richardson said in an interview with the Herald leader. I would hope our school and community realize that this does not represent the character of our students and staff at Southern Middle School in our district and our district as a whole. It at least represents some of them, Superintendent. May not represent them all, but definitely it represents some of them. So the reality is there's this tolerance in the culture of that teaching community that's okay with this kind of blatant racism. Because the teacher approving garbage like that obviously is a signal that the teacher was under the belief that this was okay with top leadership. Why would you say yes to something so insane, right? Why would a student recommend it? Do you think the student came up with this on their own, or perhaps this has a parental influence connected to it? Naturally it does. What are you doing to address the reality of cultural racism inside of your school system? You have a teacher and a student that did the exact same racist thing, and you don't think you have a problem? All right, we'll see what the update is. Sharon, thoughts here?
And these are the same people in Kentucky, the lawmakers anyway, Dr. Ritchie, that are taking aim at CRT, right, which supposedly would cut out some of these teachings, you would think. But okay, it's good people on both sides, and this is who we are now. This is America. This is America.
It is, and it's so sad because we see what's happening, them trying to take over public education, them restricting colleges, making it impossible for a teacher to teach. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay. Indisputable has been named the fastest growing news TV show in the United States of America, compared to all shows on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and roughly 30 others. What do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable. Donald Trump radicalized citizens. He's the chief terrorist. Republicans still want you to think that critical race theory is the greatest evil that can happen in K through 12 education. It's not even taught. I guarantee you this, David. If he would have taken a knee during the national anthem to bring awareness to the need for more money for cancer research in America, he would not have had that response. It was the fact that he took a knee for black folk and brown folk. You rather pick the voters because you're scared of the voters picking the politicians. It frightens you, but we coming. When you are in a privileged position, equality looks like oppression to you. The Karenicity runs deep in this one. We provide a mirror A mirror for reflection and a mirror for correction.
So what if I have 35? Don't hit me. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
So let's put up the graphic of this Karen in peak performance. Boom. They want anarchy so they can start creating their own rules.
Can you share with me some examples?
When they were running around during the terrorist attack on January 6th saying, hang Mike Pence. So those are the people I'm talking about. That's a problem, correct? You work for Mike Pence, stand up for the guy. Do not allow the ideology of politics to evaporate the humanity that still exists inside of you. They don't stop, I don't stop. Racism won't stop, I won't stop. Systemic bias won't stop, so I won't stop. People still need health care, so I won't stop. People still need criminal justice systems reformed in this country, so I won't stop. And you won't stop either.
Universal health care, raising the minimum wage, doing something about climate change and gun violence and an unjust justice system that locks up black and brown folks. We're not going for the okie doke no more.
I think Nina Turner is the leader of the progressive movement right now.
It is absolutely a sin and a shame to be in the 21st century in America and having people who are elected to office not only try to separate us, but also use public policy to make it harder to vote.
The questions that we get asked is how you gonna pay for it? I said, oh, we gonna pay for it the same way we pay for the tax cuts. That's how we gonna pay for it. We gonna pay for it in the same way that we give military industrial complex contractors. That's how we gonna pay for it.
If standing up for a universal health care or Medicare for all is wrong, Jink, I don't want to be right. If believing that working people deserve to have paid family and medical leave is wrong, I don't want to be right. If wanting everyday people of this nation to live a good life is wrong, then I don't want to be right.
We are being tested whether we have courage enough, conviction enough, people power enough to stand up and do what is right for ourselves and generations yet unborn. I'm Nina Turner, and I am unbought and unbossed.
When I started, TYT had already been around for 5 years. It was very possible that it was just gonna crumble and fall apart.
Long before I started working here, I listened to years of TYT.
I came in as a college kid at SC. I was trying to get into broadcast.
I was in a family that thought we were liberal Republicans.
I wish I could sit down with people and give them the opportunity to get to know me on a deeper level.
We moved generations. Am I proud of that? Hell yeah, I am.
All right, welcome back. Always good to be with you. A lot on the agenda still. Let me read some of these comments. Before that, membership, right? Very important. Since our first broadcast in 2002, TYT has been a force in digital media with a mission to drive positive change. You're part of that drive. Our members help us to keep it going, make it happen. You all truly are the lifeblood of TYT, especially during times where media is changing dramatically. Support this work by becoming a member today. Very easy to join, tyt.com/join, tyt.com/join, or click the join button on YouTube. We'd love to have you as a member with us right here, all right? Okay, a lot of comments. Next TYT reporter says, I'm willing to bet she got the strength to file this lawsuit from Donald Trump being held liable. There you go. VVV, America's mayor, my ass. He was horrible mayor. Now this woman has receipts. This trail is going to be interesting. I mean, for a person to have 23,000 emails that has been verified by another media outlet, and the wording that is currently said, that's been verified, is damning. But you got to think about this. Giuliani promised this woman $1 million a year, okay? And also promised her other benefits in addition to that $1 million a year. According to the filing, he paid her $12,000 over the course of 2 years and raped her. Okay, she recorded his ass, good. It may be absolutely what was needed to expose him. But think about what trauma he put her through. That's the issue. He put this woman through 2 years of actual trauma. I mean, the whole trick bag of you're gonna get paid $1 million and not doing that, that's horrible enough, right? Okay. Jenny B, this is an indictment of both that teacher, talking about the school and the KKK outfit, as well as the parents. What middle school kid knows about that figure and chooses to dress as him? Right, because you can't really find Bedford in a standard, elementary school book. So naturally, this was taught. All right. Giuliani, Soul Life says, not a single detail surprised me. There was only one detail that surprised me. That whole Donald Trump talking on the phone, that was different, all right? That did surprise me, nothing else did. Tyler Hackner, gifted one indisputable. Thank you so much for that, Tyler. Gerald Coaxum, double doser, thank you. We appreciate you in advance. All right, got something for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish a Karen would.
You want to call the police on them for having a barbecue on a Sunday.
I feel free! Back off!
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
On social media.
Shut. Good.
You're going on social media.
Ma'am.
You're going.
Shut up!
You're going on social media.
Shut up!
You're going on social media. You're spitting. You're spitting.
Hey, ma'am.
Oh, that is an assault. Now I'm gonna call 911.
That is an assault, ma'am.
That is an assault.
Ma'am, that car wants to back out.
I'm gonna call 911.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Okay.
Do it.
Let's put up the picture full mass here, okay? All right, you all, listen. Y'all better stop playing with these Karens and start calling 911 for real. Don't threaten it. All right, the woman did harass you. All right, we categorize Karens, we call this OG Karen. OG Karen, when told that the police were going to be called, decided to get out of the vehicle and commit additional aggression against the individual who actually was being reasonable given the fact that somebody just spat upon them, right? A lot of us would have lost our ish. All right, an individual who believes obviously rules do not apply. What are your thoughts, Sharon?
That the anti-Karen who was recording needs to go see a doctor and get shots.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I would tell my child if she was out in the wild, animalistic behavior, approached irrational, and got fluid on her. Get shots immediately.
Yeah, quickly, run. All right, got something for you. Anti-Karens unite.
You're screaming at employees at Walmart. Get out of here.
That's racist.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
The United States doesn't have an official language, jackass.
Exactly. Why didn't you come out with your own eyes and take a look?
She actually is outside. She can see right at. Sir, if common sense will tell you to drive up as soon as you get a chance, but hey, common sense ain't that common.
Common sense?
Common sense, that's what I said.
You guys' heads are up your asses.
And so is yours. You don't smell like shit on your lips. Have a good night, sir. Be blessed.
Your asses are gonna get fired.
And tell me how it is.
They're gonna get fired.
By who?
You can come happily take. I'll take you have Paula Tudy.
Or you can happily kiss my ass. I'm good with either one.
Really? This kind of service is not gonna bill.
And I with that type of attitude, yes, sir.
No, because I didn't understand what you said you had, or
because you can't easily.
All right. Granted, the individual inside of the restaurant talking over the speaker, a little bit unprofessional. However, if I'm having to weigh this based on who was the most wrong, I would definitely say the customer. He brought a particular energy at nighttime when the shift is about to end. Everyone knows you don't bring that damn energy in a drive-thru at nighttime when the restaurant is about to close. Sir, the best thing they did for you is not serve you any food. Because I promise you, you go to a restaurant when the shift is about to close and you give people that energy, they will happily serve your ass right there in their window. Yeah. All right, Sharon, I know some people are going to say, Doc, the guy on the other side talking for the restaurant was wrong. All right, listen, people just aren't having it anymore. These Karens go around, they harass individuals, bring a certain kind of energy. And then when there's an anti-Karen who happens to be in the establishment, all of a sudden, they want to scream unprofessional. Nope. You started it, you were the aggressor, got your ass handed to you. You just didn't like it. All right, thoughts?
You know, I'm a stickler for customer service and proper protocols. It sounds like that'd be my employee of the month. Right there, there's your employee of the month. Bonus time, sweetie. There you go.
And he was so quick with it. I mean, it was like he had prepared statements just ready. I mean, this guy's obviously a genius.
Ready.
Yeah, all right. We got more on the other side. Stick and stay.
Hey everyone, Matteo Scarapore here, author of Black Buck, which is Shop TYT's first fiction book ever. I'm honored. So, Black Buck is about a young man named Darren who's living in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. He lives with his mom, he has his girlfriend, he has his best friend, he has his neighborhood, and his neighborhood has him. Darren's also working at a Starbucks in Midtown Manhattan. And one day, this man, real suave and good looking, comes in and asks Darren to give him his regular. But for some reason, Darren says no. This man named Rhett Daniels, who's the CEO of a startup called Someone, located on the 36th floor of the same building, is impressed. And he invites Darren upstairs, and then he extends an offer to join his elite sales team. Darren reluctantly joins, and he soon realizes that he's not the only black salesperson there. He's the only black person in the entire company. So he goes through hell and back in order to make it to the top. And once there, he has status, money, power, but he says, you know what? I don't like being the token black guy. So he hatches a plan to help other people of color infiltrate America's tech startup sales teams, redefining what it means to be a minority in the workplace. This book definitely, if you couldn't tell, touches on many things that are relevant to this moment that we're all living in right now. But it's also connected to the many moments in history that have come before today. I hope that you read it. I hope that you enjoy it. And if you want to order a copy, go to shoptyt.com. Thank you, be well, and happy 2021.
Breaking news with Brett Ehrlich. This is Brett Ehrlich with Breaking News with Brett Ehrlich. Bernie Sanders wants to break Wall Street, and he wants to break it real bad.
What's happening? I'm Rashad Richey, host of Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey right here on TYT. Let me tell you what we do on Indisputable. We go beyond the headline. We make sure that you know the full context of the story. And we also highlight issues that are important to the everyday person. We're talking about criminal justice reform. We're talking about the climate. We're talking about what's happening right in your local community. We also highlight very important issues that are affecting all of us, like the economy, jobs, and we engage in transparent debates with people who may not think like me. We're living in a current social atmosphere where opinions are represented as facts and lies are represented as truth. Make sure you tune in to Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Richey, Monday through Friday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time.
I don't care if you're Christian. In fact, I will fight for you to have your religious liberty and practice your Christianity. I believe in that. I don't believe in Christianity, which means that you do not get to dictate the way I live my life based on your religion. I don't care what the Bible says. You have every right in the world. All those women who identify with your religion have every right in the world to not get an abortion, to not take birth control, but they do not have the right to dictate my life and what I decide to do with my body. I don't care about your goddamn religion. I'm so tired of having nonstop conversations about what the Bible says. You live your life in the way that you interpret the Bible. Again, I don't care, but you don't get to take the Bible and tell me, well, the Bible says this in this chapter in this verse. I don't care. I don't care. I don't believe in it. And I have the right, based on our Constitution, to not believe in it.
Welcome back. All right, a lot of show left. Got a lot of comments. We'll read as many as I can. I Am Sock says, maybe Karens share some genetic code with those Jurassic Park dinosaurs that spit acid. Listen, I understand your line of thinking, and I cannot rule it out, but we must research it. All right, Jenny Jupiter, Rabbit Karen, that's right. That's what I was thinking. C. Michael Henson, thank you, C. Michael. Apparently this OG Karen didn't see what happened to the Days Inn Karen where she spit on that black woman. Not yet. Scott Smith gifted one indisputable Dr. Shad Richey membership. Thank you so much for that. Owen the Shmoopy Dragon, do it. I have white person protection. Talking about the Karen and calling the police. Also, Hoycat, I think. People in this country need to relearn that if you're a customer, you're not entitled to anything except what you paid for. It's a professional arrangement, no matter how little the service pays its employees. Dringer_Dragon, I think. And he wants to eat food they are going to make for him. Laugh my ass off, dude. Think it through. No, don't think. Don't think. Just drive up and get your food. All right. Okay. Hell of a story. What if I told you a killer, a man who murdered his own parents, buried them in the yard, was able to escape jail and live a normal family life? Well, it has been discovered. DNA evidence has identified this individual. Put him up. This is such an insane story, but true. DNA evidence has revealed William Leslie Arnold, AKA John Damon, as a family man in Australia who was also a teenage killer who escaped a Nebraska jail. I'm going to give you background to the crime first. William Leslie Arnold was 16 years of age in 1958 when he killed his parents and buried them in the backyard after they refused to let him borrow the family car to take his girlfriend to a drive-in movie showing of the movie The Undead. Arnold went about his life in and around Omaha, Nebraska, telling everyone, even family members, that his parents had taken a trip 2 weeks later, he was arrested. He also confessed to the killings, led investigators to the makeshift gravesite. The following year, he was sentenced to 2 life sentences in Nebraska State Penitentiary. But that's not where it ends. For one, he actually escaped from prison in 1967. And what the prison warden said was one of the cleanest escapes in his experience. And then gone on the run for half a century between his escape with another prisoner, James Harding, using masks used to fool guards who conducted daily head counts at the prison. Immediately after the escape, the pair traveled by bus to Chicago, where they split. Harding was captured within a year, but Arnold vanished. He married within 3 months and became a father, moved to Miami and to California, divorced, then moved to New Zealand in 1978, and finally to Australia. This man was going around the whole world where he worked as a salesman. Arnold died actually in 2010. Okay? He died in Australia. So let's put up this guy. After the case was dormant for decades, all right? In 2020, the case was handed over to Matthew Westover, who was a deputy marshal in Nebraska. The marshal drove 5 hours to see James Arnold, Arnold's younger brother, who gave a DNA sample that Westover referenced across an ancestry site. Nothing came up for 2 years until he received an alert of a match and an email from a man in Chicago who said he was looking for his biological father. The man has asked not to be identified, but he told investigators he knew his father as John Damon. And Damon had told him he was an orphan. The man asked who his father was and why he had been to prison. So I had to tell him. Westover said, I told him. Well, he was an orphan. He didn't lie about that, but he killed his parents. That's why he was an orphan. There are some additional details to this, but what strikes me in this entire story about this murderer is how he was able to freely move in significant ways and had major interaction with governmental entities. He was married, he got a license, he was divorced. He went through the proper channels to do so. He traveled with ID. He traveled not only inside of America, but also internationally. Absolutely nada on the radar. This individual is not some kind of clandestine agent for the CIA. He was just a 16-year-old cat who killed his parents, gets sentenced, escapes, and all of a sudden he moves freely and they can't find him. It's a hell of a thing. And you have to imagine at some point somebody just trusted the fact that he looked as if he was trustworthy. All right, Sharon, hell of a story. He got away with it. Bottom line, he got away with it, lived his life, died, he's out of here, won't be held accountable for double murder and burial of his own parents.
It's scary, it's eerie. Your analysis is spot on. He looked, well, despite the ears, okay, maybe the ears would be the only thing that would give him away, but he looked like he was just a trustworthy guy. And instead he's a stone cold killer who is I wonder what his passport looked like. Well-traveled.
Yeah, well-traveled. All right, hell of a story. Okay, a Florida teacher, Florida teacher caught abusing a special needs student. Let's put her up for a mask. Damn shame. Sherry Evans Robinson, okay? Ms. Robinson is a 55-year-old Florida teacher, has now been arrested on child abuse after allegations surfaced. So Robinson would pull the hair and ears of a special needs child to gain compliance, knowing it caused the child pain and discomfort, police said. Investigators interviewed witnesses and concluded the defendant engaged in physical force when the victim acted out. The arrest came after the Sumter County Sheriff's Office was notified at Wildwood Elementary School. Let's put up the county school board assistant superintendent. Her name is Deborah Moffitt. Deborah Moffitt released a statement on the matter. It says partly, and I quote, student safety is of utmost importance. And both the school and the school district cooperated fully with law enforcement. While everyone has the presumption of innocence, Mrs. Robinson will not have any contact with students pending the outcome of adjudication. The Sumter County Sheriff's Department released Robinson's arrest file immediately, detailing the case, which really spurred outrage from parents naturally, many of whom, like Kat Phillips, feel the school has a pattern of abuse, right? And here is the administrative faculty presiding as the abuse occurred. You got Principal Summer Shirley, Assistant Principal Brittany Brown, and Assistant Principal Megan Manino. And here's the latest on the matter to date. The Sumter County Sheriff's Office priority is protecting the victim and their identity. Therefore, no further information is being released, officials said. And Robinson was released from jail on Thursday night after posting a $2,000 bond. It is unclear if she has retained an attorney. We continue to hear about these types of stories, especially coming out of Florida, where school systems are having legitimate issues between teachers and students, where teachers are abusing students. But you do not hear the Florida governor say we need to nip this in the bud. We need to provide significant oversight to ensure students are safe. Nothing will come out of this as far as policy or legislation. Because in Florida, they're concerned about fictional boogeymen. They want you to think that somehow critical race theory is your true enemy. No, it's the person violating a child. That's an enemy. That's an enemy of the child. That's an enemy of the system known as education. That's the enemy of decency, all right? Morality. But these are things not being considered. And this is what happens when we focus on issues that are really irrelevant. They're only made relevant because they want you to pay attention to them. We start to lose focus on things that are relevant, that need our attention, that deserve a response. This won't even hit the radar of DeSantis. Okay, sharing thoughts.
And I look at her mugshot and I wonder how afraid the student was. I'm grateful that the Sumter County Sheriff's Office is seeking other victims, other information. They're asking if you know something, please let us know, because it can't be a one-off, Doc.
That's right.
It can't be.
It never is. You and I both have been reporting on stories like this for a while. It never is a one-off. Even if you can't prove the other allegations, they are there, the people are credible, and we typically believe them. All right, we got more on the other side. It's indisputable, stick and stay.
Do all of you know the Young Turks?
An outlet like yourself that are willing to cover this story from the very beginning.
You have the Young Turks and a bunch of other progressive forces saying this is the time to fight for our values.
And I think right now there are a lot of progressive voters, many leftists who feel like they don't have a home.
And this is why what Cenk and the Young Turks are doing is so important.
What we've done is sustainable, slow, healthy growth. And I think that's the way news should be, where you don't rely on sensationalist stuff. You don't lean on whatever's trendy in the news at any given moment. You just go with the truth.
You gave me a platform.
You've uplifted so many other progressive voices through this network, and you're constantly looking for people that you can amplify through the work we do, through the infrastructure that you built at TYT.
It takes those early people who believe that can really be the seeds of this movement, and that has been the Young Turks.
We're super serious about the news. We also managed to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We're not TYT, you're TYT.
Welcome to the Damage Report. I'm John Idarola. This is gonna be a big one.
Meanwhile, in the Arctic, you know where this is going. You watch the Damage Report, the Arctic's on fire. Obviously, why would we be talking about the Arctic except to tell you that it's melting once again? The Republicans aren't that interested in it. I wonder why. Lift out of poverty up to 3.7 million people, including an estimated 1.3 million children. Hashtag save the children? Not if it costs money. I mean, come on.
Welcome to Indisputable. I'm your host, Dr. Rashad Richard. We got a lot happening today. But what do we do on this show? We tell the truth. You know why we tell the truth? Because the truth is simply indisputable.
Rashad, great to be here. Congratulations on the new show. And I gotta let everybody know that Rashad and I go way back.
Here's the pattern that we see in all of these Karen stories. They think they own stuff they do not own. Now, where does that come from? I don't know, maybe slavery. Maybe they think they should still own black people.
This is what happens when Karens weaponize the police.
When you're used to privilege, equality seems like oppression.
It hits you in a certain way when someone is holding you against your will, treating you like you're a criminal and you're an innocent person. This is something that black people face no matter where they are.
A stronger black economy lends itself to a stronger, greater economy. Don't think it's exclusive of you, it's inclusive of you.
What's your beef with critical race theory?
It adds more fuel to the fire of the racist tendencies that we already have.
We have a generation of problem solvers that can remedy the problem if they are properly taught what the problem is.
You know who created redlining in this country? It was a white liberal.
I don't give a damn who created it. If it's a racist policy, Shelley, here's what I don't know. I don't know. See, there you go filibustering, brother. You're scared of this truth, but you're gonna get it though.
I'm back to gaslighting. Did you and I talk about gaslighting on Old School?
Probably.
That boss gaslit all his female employees. People who manipulate others like that make you feel like you're the weirdo. Why won't you punch yourself in the face? What is wrong with you? And you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Why didn't I just punch myself in the face and poke my eye out? I'm 47 and I just figured it out like earlier this year.
You figured out somebody was doing it to you or that you were
that it was that it would have been happening my whole life and I didn't realize.
All right, welcome back. A lot of show left. Let me read some of these amazing comments. Thank you for joining the conversation. All right, we have Lynn. Lynn says, why would a woman like that even become a teacher, especially one with a specialized credential working with special needs children? That's one of the saddest parts of the story. The person goes to get additional training so that they can have insight, knowledge, understanding, expertise. They do all of that to create an environment that's abusive to a child they should have a particular understanding about. So damn sad. CE, how can you be a family man and cure your own bloody parents? Arnold is a bell end. It's hell insane, isn't it? Not only did he kill him, he buried him. On the line truth, damn, and he fled to America, things that make you go, But he fled into America. He was sentenced in Nebraska, and then he decided after he escaped, he could travel how he chose. C. Michael, thank you again, C. Michael. I bet that Ron DeSantis won't even bring legislation to address what this teacher did in his own state, too busy banning things. You woke yet, Ronnie? Good. You're absolutely correct. Orpheus_Alicon. I hope she didn't have any children. Yeah, well, we got to check, right? And we got to check to make sure she didn't abuse any other children. C23 Jones 88. So I know I was joking last year about COVID making people's brains smooth, but these daily crimes are definitely showing less impulse control. Seems like something's in the water, doesn't it? All right, we have an update. A story we reported on from day one. Security guard at a Walgreens decides to shoot a shoplifter. Video has now surfaced. Here it is. Okay, so that is the initial encounter. It looks more like mutual combat than a credible security protocol. And as they are engaged in this combat, you will clearly see how aggressive the security guard is over an alleged shoplifting incident, okay? At this point, there seems to be a subduing, but you will soon see that changes. The individual is simply trying to leave the store. Shoplifting typically is not one of those crimes where you think somebody needs to get shot, but he shot him right there. Saw that? He shot the individual right there. We now have the video. I want to remind you that the DA said no charges, which is insane. Video gets released. It's more damning than we ever believed. Let's put up these pictures full mass. On Monday, the San Francisco DA's office decided to release the shocking surveillance video showing the moment a Walgreens security guard shot and killed a 24-year-old Banco Brown, a trans woman who struggled with being unsheltered. This all occurred because of an alleged shoplifting incident. The DA, Brooke Jenkins, put her up. Okay. Brooke Jenkins, the district attorney duly elected to uphold the Constitution, prosecute crimes, continues to defend her decision to not press charges against the security guard. The security guard's name is Michael Early Wayne Anthony. She says there was nothing to disprove Anthony's claim of self-defense and urged residents not to rely on the video of the shooting alone to form their opinion. The footage shows Anthony, who's a licensed security guard, he's been licensed since 2012, step in to stop Brown from leaving the store with a bag of items before Anthony begins to repeatedly punch the suspected shoplifter. After the two struggled for several seconds, Anthony puts Brown in a chokehold and forces him to the floor, where the pair stayed for a few moments as store patrons casually walk past them. The guard eventually lets Brown up, and the alleged thief picks up the bag and walks toward the door, footage shows. Brown then turns around on his way out and appears to make a move toward Anthony, who lifts his gun and shoots Brown once. Anthony said in the police interview, he instructed Brown to put the items back and claimed Brown was the aggressor who fought to keep the items. The security guard told police that Brown kept threatening to stab him after he told the man to calm down while the two were tussling. Anthony said he let go of Brown, but drew his gun and pointed it at the floor in case Brown launched at him, according to him. He said he shot Brown when the suspect made a move toward him, made a move to charge him, and realizing it was too late, that Brown would just spit at him. Brown did not have a knife on him. He's just saying, oh, I overreacted in the moment. I thought he was going to do something else. Well, she did not do anything else. She was simply trying to get away from you, Mr. Security Guard. This comes down to something even beyond policy, legislation, statute, the unwillingness of an elected prosecutor to do the right thing. I want us to analyze it from a different perspective. What kind of human being is okay with shooting a person for shoplifting? You know, I'm reminded of lyrics by CeeLo. Talked about an incident when he got robbed. The music artist says, I value both of our lives more than this car. Where is that? What happened to that? Have we completely disconnected from humanity when there's any level of agreement that a person, a human being, should be exterminated because they are poor. I promise you, rich people aren't walking into Walgreens stealing. So if the shoplifting is even true, which by the way, we'll never know for sure what was happening because there will be no adjudication in court. Let's say the shoplifting is true, that everything they're saying is accurate. There's no other explanation, right? Just accept that. Do you kill the person? You shoot them? You want them dead? Why? What is it inside of another person that would be okay with this kind of action against a shoplifter? All right, there are a few things here, Sharon. Number one, Walgreens, they have been kind of left out of the conversation. I want to bring them back in. Walgreens should release a statement, should stand against the security guard. They have not so far, highly doubt they will. And I wonder what is at stake here that we don't see. What is behind the scenes? Does the DA have some entanglement somewhere that we're not seeing? Because obviously, everybody who has watched this video, they have said clearly, wait a minute, we thought it was something more threatening than that. Even the security guard says they overreacted. That's called negligence then. If you cannot prove mens rea, if this was not something done intended as a crime, fine. You have gross negligence still. You have criminal negligence. The person is dead. Sharon, thoughts here.
I was looking frantically to see if this security guard was an off-duty police officer, because I'm just trying to figure out what DA Jenkins, no confidence, is up to here. Now even they're supposed to observe and report, right, Dr. Ritchie?
Yep.
Observe
that's right.
and report.
That is correct.
I want to respect people's, not even your stuff, not even your stuff. Why do you care so much to take a human life? This is despicable, and this DA Jenkins is, why is she taking up space in the public sphere for this?
Yeah, and you have to imagine, Sharon, that part of the calculation, just like we saw on the New York subway, part of the calculation not to immediately charge is because of the status or perceived status of the victim. And that is the danger of us getting caught up. That's right, getting caught up in these status debates and who's in this category or that category. We're all human beings, we're all got souls. You don't have to agree with somebody's lifestyle to agree that they deserve to live. Damn, shoplifting. Brother, you could have helped. You could have helped that woman. You could have been a decent person. Now you're a killer. You gotta live with that rest of your life. You know you shouldn't have got away with it. We got more on the other side. It's indisputable stick and stay.
Our system is inherently rigged against the will of the people.
They have 50% of the vote, and in a democracy, they should have 50% of the seats.
But if you live in an insanely gerrymandered district, your vote functionally doesn't matter.
We drew the map in a way that even though we get 50% of the vote, we're gonna get 13 out of the 18 seats.
You don't actually have the ability to translate the will of the voters in your area into actual government policy.
They should not be allowed to gerrymander these districts. We should actually have a democracy.
I've been honest with him, like, yeah, I was upset with you and I shouldn't have done it. But instead I was like, I'm just trying to protect my engagement ring.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
All right, welcome back. It's a damn shame. Once again, a Houston cop shoots an unarmed black male. Here's the video.
Put your hands, don't move. Do not move, do you understand? Do not move, do you understand?
Man, what do you want to do?
Step out.
Man,
Step out.
What
Step out.
For, man?
Because you get hit a stolen vehicle, man. Turn the vehicle off.
What you tripping for, man?
Turn it. Stop. 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 What happened? Stop. 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 Get away from me, bro. Stop. Get away from me, bro. Stop. Stop. What's going on, sir? Say no to stop here. Say no to 24. Get up on the door. 24.
I have more video. The man did not want to go to jail. He did not want to be caught. Let me put up this picture full mass, provide some context before I go to my next video. It's such a sad encounter. The intense body cam footage released by the Houston Police Department last Wednesday shows an altercation between a Houston officer and an unarmed black man, which resulted in the 44-year-old Jamar Thompson being shot, fatally shot. A loved one identified as Danica Abraham screamed in agony during the entire incident. Cops say the officer lost his taser and his radio during the tussle, which was picked up and held by Miss Abraham. His next move, reaching for his firearm. Okay, there's more video.
Give me that. Give me the taser. Yeah, give me a taser. 24, oh my God.
I need you to really understand something very clearly about this encounter. And I say this often, and I will submit it to you again. Just because someone may need to see a judge does not mean they deserve to see their maker. Police officers are not designated to be judge, jury, and executioner. That is not their protocol, at least according to their profession. However, we see encounters like this all too often, where if the person happens to have black skin, and God forbid if they happen to be a male with black skin, there is absolutely no courtesy for life. But we have also seen when police officers go out of their way, way out of their way, to make sure life is preserved when the person may be of a different hue. You know, there was a time in America when you could shoot unruly black men without penalty. It was called slavery. It was okay, it was legal. It was allowed by the government if a black person was being combative, unruly, disorderly, whatever they decided to categorize black folk as. So you have a different permeation of it codified in law enforcement, which, by the way, law enforcement is another, let's say, perversion, so to speak, of the slave patrol. Isn't that ironic how the DNA of these two particular dynamics come back to itself every time? Now, policy, right? Policy can help. We don't have the George Floyd Policing and Accountability Act. Doesn't exist. They have not eliminated qualified immunity as was campaigned. Over 90% of Americans believe that there should be some level of police reform. We're talking about police officers. Still nothing. Still nothing. All right, Sharon, thoughts?
It's so disgusting, Dr. Ritchie. And at first I'm like, I don't want to see this trauma. We all need to be exposed to this trauma, though. We all do need to be exposed to it, because as long as Trump and DeSantis preach about cops and vigilantes really getting off, they're going to continue to kill black people, because we can't shed our skin and run away to Australia and start a family after murdering people. That's not what we can do. Stolen car. Okay, I guess.
Yeah, it's insane. A stolen damn car allegation that you haven't even confirmed. All right, we'll bring you updates as the story develops. We have more on the other side. It's indisputable. Stick and stay.
Our system is inherently rigged against the will of the people.
They have 50% of the vote, and in a democracy, they should have 50% of the seats.
But if you live in an insanely gerrymandered district, your vote functionally doesn't matter.
We drew the map in a way that even though we get 50% of the vote, we're gonna get 13 out of the 18 seats.
You don't actually have the ability to translate the will of the voters in your area into actual government policy.
They should not be allowed to gerrymander these districts. We should actually have a democracy.
I've been honest with him, like, yeah, I was upset with you and I shouldn't have done it. But instead I was like, I'm just trying to protect my engagement ring.
At TYT, our mission is to boldly pursue truth, challenge the establishment, and drive positive change. At a time when corporate capture of our media, our government, and our politics is nearly absolute, everyday working people need a champion to fight for them and to push back against the powerful interests that threaten our democracy itself. At TYT, we're proudly progressive and call out corruption and duplicity wherever we see it, from Republicans, Democrats, or anyone else. And unlike mainstream news media outlets, we're not beholden to corporate advertisers, to defense contractors, to Wall Street, or to Big Pharma. We only have to answer to our audience, and for nearly 2 decades, we've accomplished that by delivering honest, timely, and insightful perspectives on the day's news without fear or favor or concern for whose toes we might step on or which powerful elites we might offend. And while we're super serious about the news, we also manage to do it in a way that is fun and lighthearted. We can do this together and serve our audience, and yes, have fun doing it.
All right, welcome back. A lot of show left. Let me read a few of these comments, all right? Archie 15, deadly force used over less than $100 in merchandise. Walgreens, judge, jury, and executioner. Yeah, so sad, isn't it? Jam says, I'm more disturbed by that customer who watched the guard shoot the shoplifter and didn't flinch at all. I think there's a good amount of people out there who would expect or who expect and want to see people get shot in the street. That's an unfortunate reality. Orpheus _Alcon, that was an execution. Charges must be filed. That's what it looked like to me. Fidelinetto, I hate the phrase shots fired. No asshole, you shot someone. There's nothing passive about that choice. I learned the reason why they use that terminology in their radio code. It is so that media will not know exactly who did the shooting, because media agencies, local media in particular, they will have radio monitors where they can actually listen to communications, emergency communications, especially with the police. So when they simply say shots fired without any further context, no one in the local media will know that it was in fact a cop who shot somebody. That's the reason. All right. Student gets suspended for doing the right thing. Recording a racist school teacher. School teacher gets suspended. Student gets suspended. How does this work? How? Let's put it up full mass. In Springfield, Missouri, a Glendale high school teacher who repeatedly used a racial slur in class last week has now resigned. The student who recorded the video has been suspended. What? For doing what exactly? Okay. Let's put up the picture. Here's what was said in the May 9th recording, okay? So we do have the transcript, and I'm going to read it to you. The teacher says, is the word N-word not allowed? All right, so the teacher says it, okay? Student, I'm just saying right now as a teacher, if you want to keep your job, this isn't a threat from me. Teacher, I'm not calling anyone, and then the teacher says N-word again. Student, I understand. Teacher, I can say the word. The teacher said the N-word twice in the video after reportedly saying it several times before the student started to record, all right? She told her mom, who called Glendale high school teachers, the school leaders, excuse me, the executive staff. The mother said when she arrived at the school before noon, the teacher was actually already being escorted out. All right, good sign, right? Here's the statement from the school itself. Let me read it. The teacher who was initially placed on administrative leave following the situation at Glendale High School is no longer employed by Springfield Public Schools. Furthermore, much speculation has occurred regarding student discipline related to a video recording of the unacceptable classroom incident. Student discipline is confidential per federal law, as Springfield Public Schools cannot disclose specifics related to actions taken. It continues. The student handbook is clear. However, on consequences for inappropriate use of electronic devices, any consequences applied per the scope and sequence would also consider if minors are identifiable in the recording and what, if any, hardships are endured by the students due to a violation of privacy with the dissemination of the video in question. The student who recorded the video is a 15-year-old sophomore named Mary. We are choosing not to use a last name to protect some sense of privacy. And a family has retained an attorney, okay, from Missouri to try and get the SPS to reconsider its actions. The family member pointed out the section that said, here's the quote, "Their prohibited conduct includes such things as audio or visual recording of faculty or staff in the classroom, acts of violence, disruptions to the class environment, or other acts prohibited by the district's disciplinary guidelines. It prohibits taking photos or videos of acts of violence." So if an assault crime occurred and someone took a video of that, they could get in trouble for capturing evidence of a crime. And that is exactly right. We've reported on those before. Put them up. Glendale High Principal Dr. Joshua Groves and the Superintendent of Springfield Public Schools, Dr. Grenita Lathan. All right. Leadership is with them. Buck stops there. So let's analyze what we have. A student is engaged in a private conversation with a school teacher who is being racist, repeating the N-word over and over again. So much so that the student has time to start recording. And the teacher is so affixed on saying the N-word, the teacher doesn't even notice that the student has started recording. So there's this recording, the recording goes to the right place, and the student gets suspended. The student should be a hero. The student should be championed. This is what you do. The same school that talks about anti-bullying. If you see something, say something. You don't think a teacher using the N-word with a student is a form of bullying? You don't? What message are you sending to the rest of the students? If you see your teacher doing something that's either A, really, really bad, or B, illegal, make sure you don't record it so that we don't have to respond. The reason why that teacher was being escorted out by the time the mother got there at 12 noon is because there was a recording, ladies and gentlemen. If the recording did not exist, that teacher is likely still in that classroom being biased, prejudiced, and racist against other students. So this student did everyone a favor, got punished for it. Sharon, thoughts here?
I really thought when you started to lay out this case, Dr. Ritchie, that the outcome would be different. We're close to the end of the year, the ceremonies where you walk across the stage and you're recognized, and this student deserves a medal. I hope that the Urban League, NAACP, I know Michael McMillan out of St. Louis, they need to give this student some kind of reward and status symbol to show you're a freedom fighter and keep at it. And I hope the lawsuit prevails against these fools at the school district.
Yeah,
really?
We will update it as that lawsuit comes. I really believe it will come soon. Okay. Everyone needs to hear this story, all right? Everyone needs to hear this story. There's an FDA recall for tainted infant powder, and it could be fatal, all right? So let's put up pictures for a mass. A baby formula made by one of America's big four manufacturers has been recalled for a second time. This is number 2. The second time after companies continued to distribute the tainted powder. So Michigan-based Perrigo company urged Americans to stop using certain batches of Gerber, all right? Gerber Good Start Soothe Pro formula, to be exact. This first warning came back in mid-March when tests spotted a bacteria that can actually be fatal to children under 2 months. That's why I want everyone to hear this story. If you don't have a young child, it's okay. You may know someone who does. You need this knowledge. However, on Sunday, the product had to be recalled again after discovering that the powder had been sent to independent grocery stores in 8 different states, even after the alert was sent. Americans who bought the powder have been urged to throw it in the trash immediately, contact the company for a refund. While no illnesses have been reported yet, the Food and Drug Administration urges parents to look out for fever, poor feed, and excessive crying if their child consumes the formula. The notice was released on May 14th by food distributor Associated Wholesale Grocers, which admitted that it was still selling the deadly product. Batches that had been recalled were sent to 8 states. It includes Alabama, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, Tennessee, Virginia, and West Virginia. On May 17th, the company issued a recall notice for 9 lots of its Gerber Good Start Soothe Pro trademark powdered infant formula. They said the move was out of an abundance of caution after tests showed the formula was contaminated. It was contaminated with the bacteria that is naturally found in the environment, but particularly adept at surviving in low moisture dry foods such as baby powder. Now remember, it can be fatal for children under 2 months, all right? It can be fatal, according to their report. It is harmless to most people. It is harmless to most people, but in rare cases, can prove deadly for infants younger than 2 months because it can infect the blood or cause swelling in the lining around the brain and spinal cord. It is not clear how the bacteria got into the baby powder, but the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says this can happen if formula comes into contact with a contaminated surface or if other ingredients used have already been contaminated. Now, that's the part we probably will not get to know. Where did the contamination come from? Typically, the recall happens, lawsuits will happen, and then it goes away. Sharon, thoughts on this?
I love my baby, who's now 11 and a half, so much that this is scary. I hate, though, Dr. Ritchie, that these are always mostly voluntary recalls. It's not right. Get out in front of this. And we do need to know more about how and when exactly.
That's right. That's right. All right. Maybe an update will come. We will give you that if it does. Sharon, always a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you so much.
Tell people how they can follow you, check out your great work.
TYT Sports, I'm excited to be part of that. You can catch me there, Sharon Reed Live across all platforms. I appreciate you, Doc.
We appreciate you, always a pleasure. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the planet. Remember, the truth is always indisputable.